Sports Scene, Hampton Road's premier interview show with Greg Bicaveras, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Lighthouse 100.1 presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic. Now here is Greg Bicaveras.
Sports Scene is midweek online, Saturday on the radio from 10 to 11, 100.1 FM, 1010 AM. TuneIn.com, type in WPMH in the search bar to listen Saturday at 10. Greg Bicaveras along with Joe Daniel on the Lighthouse. We are back with some original new shows on Sports Scene. Sports Scene is an interview show, and also watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. For the month of December, we focus on the Menchville field hockey team. Tell your friends about gjbtv.com and click the YouTube link on the homepage for archived audio and video. Twitter @GregBic, that's GregBic, and GJB Radio. And you can see the rest of my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com in the contact section. Thank you to our military. May the memory of Bush 41 be eternal, our former president. Guest lineup presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville, now delivering. Sponsors on gjbtv.com, marketplace sponsors, and Hampton Roads onlinemall.com. Phone line presented by the Marksman and Newport News. Shows presented by hrsmhof.com. And of course, the college football Final Four, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary, what teased me off. Thank you for making the habit to listen to Sports Scene weekly, and we love our regulars and newcomers. Stay tuned.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicaveras.
And welcome back to Sports Scene with our original show here in December. Greg Bicaveras, glad you're with us. I want to thank our good friends at Sakura Japanese Restaurant and Sushi Bar. Go by and see Jasmine and the friendly staff. They also handle delivery. Walmart Way Crossing, 1437 Sam's Drive. Give them a call at 410-4577. They'll be open on Christmas. Great place for sushi and hot food is Sakura in Chesapeake. We've had this gentleman on Sports Scene and Sports Highlights before, a longtime columnist from the Virginia Pilot, retired, now doing a semi-column on Saturdays that's also in the Daily Press. Let's welcome Bob Molinaro. How are you, Bob?
Greg, good day. How are you?
Very good, my friend. I got to ask you that first of all. Did you ever think 20 or 30 years ago that the Daily Press and the Pilot would be working together?
No, and I'm still not used to it, but I'm not associated really with either paper as an actual employee, so I just look at it as a reader now, and I guess the times have changed. People must change with it, newspapers especially.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little odd for me, having been at the Pilot for so long. Adjustments are necessary.
Absolutely. All right, let's get right into it. Old Dominion had a losing record back-to-back. They did beat Virginia Tech, but it seems like it was a very difficult year, even with a very experienced team.
Yeah, as the season went along, that win over Virginia Tech became more improbable. Still don't know how it happened. I was at the game and watched it, but I still don't know how, even with Virginia Tech's problems this year, how they couldn't beat Old Dominion. So that was a great day for Old Dominion, and they can focus on that and try to overlook the other less impressive parts. I thought Old Dominion came out for most of their games this year not ready to play. They fell behind in the first quarter numerous weeks, sometimes way behind, and had to readjust at halftime, and sometimes they did readjust and make a good effort in the second half, but I just kept wondering why they seemed to be so on the wrong foot to start so many games this year. And now all the coaches, assistant coaches are gone, so we'll see if that was the problem next year. We'll see, or if there's something else there that's just not working. They had a senior-laden team this year, so that's the other area where where it was surprising that they appeared to be not prepared at kickoff each week.
Yeah, it seems like Bobby has gotten rid of a lot of staff members over the years, but it has not been a great last couple of years. And the win over Virginia Tech was big as far as the name, but this is a Virginia Tech team that struggled just to get to 500, had to play an extra game against Marshall to do that. And, of course, they're going to go to a bowl game like Virginia is. But Virginia, I guess another big story in college football this year is Virginia still could not beat Virginia Tech no matter how down and out Tech was.
Right. This was the year to do it, and Virginia, if you watch the game, I think you have to agree Virginia was the better team in the second half of that game and most of the fourth quarter, and then just a mistake here and a lapse there and just an unlucky break, a fumble that goes forward into the end zone for Virginia Tech, and so before you know it, Virginia's lost again. I don't know how they did it. It was incredible how they let that game get away. And with all due respect to Virginia Tech, Virginia had that game nailed down and let it go.
And I was at the last time Virginia beat Virginia Tech in 2003. And, of course, Schaub was quarterback in UVA back then. That was a totally different time. But, you play in Blacksburg, it's tough to win on the road, regardless what Tech's record was, and Virginia showed they could not beat them once again.
Yeah, it should be tough to play Blacksburg. Remember, they lost like 4 home games this year, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
even that didn't help this year, which tells you Tech had its own problems.
Yeah, they lost their quarterback too against Old Dominion. We saw it, right there against ODU.
Well, yes, they lost the quarterback, but he wasn't very impressive before he went out. So.
No.
So it's the ACC has been well documented this year by other people that it was just a down year for the ACC football.
Yep, even the Georgia Tech coach stepped down as well. I was talking to Bob Molinaro. Greg Picaveras, glad you're with us on Sports Scene. Hope you're having a good December. Well, you've seen a lot of coaching changes in college and the NFL over the years, even in high school, but one job that has not changed much is William & Mary. Jimmy Laycock was there for 39 years. He is retiring, and now Mike London is the coach. And a lot of people, first of all, said, why do you get a retread to coach at William & Mary? And, of course, he really hasn't done that great at any place he's been at.
Well, he won the national title at Richmond several years ago before he went on to, and that got him the job at Virginia, where he had been an assistant previously. And Mike is a great representative of any college he's working for. But yeah, there's been a lot of reason to think that he's not up to the job of coaching a college football team. I think he has an advantage here at William & Mary that he's entering the position at a time when William & Mary hasn't been that strong. You could almost say they need rebuilding at William & Mary. So he'll get a grace period for that. And I don't know how seriously William & Mary, how much pressure they put on their football coach. Compared to other schools, I wouldn't think they're too quick to jump down a coach's throat for not doing great right off the bat. So it's probably, it's a good relationship, I guess, between Mike London and William & Mary, a school that considers other things more important than football. And we'll see. See. I don't know. We'll see if this is the level London belongs at, what kind of job he does. But again, if you're a Virginia fan and you remember how he did at Virginia, you're a little trepidation that William & Mary's hired him.
Well, the Virginia fans will see him again in 2019 because William & Mary has to play UVA in the fall of 2019. And of course, you look at where he's gone since he left Virginia. He went to Maryland for 1 year as an assistant with DJ Durkin, who, got fired. And then, of course, he was at Howard, had 2 okay years, and now he's back at William & Mary. In my opinion, I'm just going to say it, I think he's a retread. I think they should have gotten somebody else, but that's just my opinion, even though my mom did teach him in high school. I just don't think much of him as a coach. I think he's a good person, like you said, great ambassador, just not a great coach. No,
I think there's enough history to say what you just said there. Yeah, he's just, and you could say, why didn't William & Mary get a younger coach? I mean, not that London is that old, but get a 38-year-old coach, a 40-year-old coach, an up-and-coming person, maybe with a good offensive mind like Laycock had. And I don't know if Mike London brings any speciality to the job, either as a defensive coach or an offensive coach.
Right.
So yeah, again, it's William & Mary, and at the moment, the last few years, they haven't been prominent program on the FCS scene. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on London at first to produce, so we'll see.
Not like James Madison, of course, who's won championships and their coach has gone on to East Carolina. We're going to take a short break, come back with more of Bob Molinaro after this.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bickaveris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios.
And welcome back to Sports Scene, continuing with Bob Molinaro. Greg Bickaveris, glad you're with us. For more, go to gjbtv.com, at Greg Bick on Twitter. Bob, you want to go ahead and plug your Twitter handle? I know you're not big into Twitter, but you want to go ahead and plug it?
No, it's just at Bob Molinaro.
Very nice. All right, talking with Bob Molinaro. Bob, another team that's started off strong this year was the Redskins in first place. Now they find themselves, no Alex Smith, no McCoy. Now they've got Sanchez, and of course they're going to be looking for another backup quarterback. It's just a shame that injuries are such a big part of the NFL, but let's look at Smith and McCoy. They're both well into their 30s, too.
I've never seen such a scenario where a team loses two quarterbacks with broken legs.
Yeah.
Tibias, fibulas, another fibula last night,
the
Monday night. It's unbelievable. But and I don't know, Sanchez, well, he couldn't have, he can't be in any shape to play competent quarterback, you wouldn't think, but that's what they got. I haven't heard, maybe they'll have to pick up another quarterback, of course, and as a backup. But, the Redskins, they're not out of it in that, assuming they can regroup a little bit. If you look at the schedule, the Eagles play, a tough, because being Super Bowl champions, they play a tough first-place schedule. They still have to play the Rams and the Texans, and so that's two tough games for them. So I guess that puts the Cowboys in the best position to win the NFC least, I should say. But the Redskins, poor team, and you get the sense that Jay Gruden is just on the sideline, not knowing what's going on sometimes. And the defense has carried them through the midpoint of the season, and now in the last 4 weeks or so, now the defense is even letting them down. Yeah, it's here we go again.
Yeah, you really can't blame Sanchez because he really didn't know the playbook. He did seem like a deer in headlights against the Eagles, but of course, you look at games ahead. At least you can say the Cowboys have their quarterback, the Eagles have their quarterback, and even the Giants have their quarterback, but the Redskins do not, and that might be the difference why the Redskins do not make the postseason. The last time they made it, folks, was during the 15-16 season when they lost to the Packers at home in January of 2016. They just don't make the playoffs that much at all, no matter who the coach is.
No, and and it's also a little quirk, but they never play well on primetime games for some reason, which Mondays was, of course. And,
right.
No, I don't know about the Redskins. They seem to have promise, and of course they do have a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the ball, but that's part of life in the NFL.
Back to college real quick before we let you go. They're trying to rebuild Ballard Stadium, Foreman Field, but it seems like a lot of the neighbors don't like a lot of the noise. And true enough, I went to the James Madison basketball game a while back, and they were out there working construction late at night. That's not going to be a happy year for the people that live near Longwood Drive in Norfolk.
Well, I guess not. I've been over there a couple times and seen the stadium disappear and the bricks be carried away. But the stadium's going to have to carry this team next year and the year after, perhaps. The program to get people to come out to games, the excitement of a new stadium, the comfort level of a new stadium, and it'll be a very very cool thing. But in the meantime, a lot of inconvenience for the people who live nearby.
Right.
And the Old Dominion campus is just basically tucked into a neighborhood, and they just have to share the inconveniences for a while.
And I'm not going to knock Old Dominion totally, because Wood was right a few years ago when they said when they made the move to Conference USA and that level. That's these are programs that have been in Division I for years, have an infrastructure for years, and even though that Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech, they struggled against teams like NC State and others, but it's taken a long time to get there, and they made a bowl game that might have been a lottery that one year, just like beating Virginia Tech, but there's no guarantee in 2019 they're going to even get 500.
No, as I said in the earlier segment, they had a lot of seniors this year who, of course, will not be back next year, so they'll face different issues next year with inexperience, perhaps, and we'll see. And the quarterback position will potentially be up for grabs, but maybe not. Blake LaRussa may take that back, the position back that he had all this year. Mm-hmm. But no, it doesn't. ODU at the moment is a little. They're on shaky ground, and the stadium will be the best thing about the team next year, most likely.
And of course, let's hope the stadium is all set by the fall of 2019.
It's going to be obviously it'll be a tight schedule.
Right. I mean, I know up in D.C. where the Nationals play at, the soccer team had issues. One of the reporters got hit by some of the equipment there. So you got to make sure that's right first before the fans get there, and the team as well. This is kind of a weird time of the year. The NBA's already played several games. College basketball started, the bowl season, and that's kind of weird, Bob. When you watch college basketball, just like we did last month in November, we're well into December now, and you see a lot of empty seats. These are games just to fill TV programming, and these bowl games are just going to be minutia to the Final Four in January.
The bowl games, yes. I always picture these bowl games being played. It's like, counting the national championship game, I think there's 41 postseason games.
Right.
And the lesser bowls, I think, is something that people turn on TV and it's like, oh, there's a football game on. They don't even know it's on. There's so many games, and they'll watch a quarter or whatever and figure out why these teams, who these teams are, and it's idle entertainment, and I guess it serves a purpose. But when your team is 6-6, and it makes a bowl, to me that's like the equivalence of a participation trophy. Mm-hmm. The kids get for playing soccer or basketball. They just get a trophy for being on a team. If you're a 6-6 football team and you go to a bowl, they're just patting you on the head and saying nice job. Mm-hmm. We'll go ahead and play your little game here, and we'll treat you as a big deal, even though your team is completely mediocre. You didn't beat anybody all year, but here's a special game you can play. So I'm not a big fan of the lesser bowls, but it is what it is, right?
Yep, of course, Virginia will go to a bowl 2 years in a row. Tech's back to a bowl again by beating Marshall, and of course Old Dominion made it a few years ago. But jumping ahead to college basketball, one person who's gotten Old Dominion really well is Jeff Jones, but he's not made the NCAA tournament yet. Does he need to make it in 2019, regardless of what happens the first quarter of the year?
Well, will they make it? I don't have any idea of this. Because the conference they're in makes it very difficult. Last year they won 25 games, I believe, and they didn't even sniff the tournament. So it's the conference makes it very difficult. It's mostly a one-bid conference. So they not only have to perform well during the regular season to impress people as a potential at-large team, but then play well in the tournament, which they don't seem to do, the conference tournament. They haven't done that.
Just so far away.
That's what they need to do.
But
it's hard to tell. This time of year, you know who the good teams are, and then it's just a matter of the big conferences, the Power 5 conferences. They can get 5, 6, 7 teams in, but teams like Old Dominion and conferences like Conference USA, they walk a fine line. You have to not only win games, you have to win your conference most of the time. So,
And they had to play some of the state schools in December to draw people, because by the time January rolls around in a few weeks, in February, March, the same old for the Conference USA. Most of the fans or alumni have no idea who any of these players are, what the teams are. So, they hype up the state schools, which they used to be in the CAA, and, now it's back to witness protection program. They're playing this team on a particular night that nobody cares.
Yes, Old Dominion's in an odd situation that sort of backwards, where their non-conference games against VCU and Madison and William and Mary are more interesting potentially to fans than their conference games.
Yeah.
Or normally for an ACC team, it's flipped the other way. So that just shows you the Conference USA is a difficult situation, not just for Old Dominion, for most of the teams in the conference.
Yeah, not to mention travel. Well, Bob, all the best to you. Have a great holiday season, and always a pleasure to catch up with you. And thank you for all your time, your talent, and your treasure for what you've done over the years in print journalism.
All right, Craig. Have a great holiday season. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Bob Molinaro right there, longtime columnist. Of course, you can see his columns in the Daily Press now and the Virginia Pilot on Saturdays. Stay tuned.
You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicaveras. Now, back to Greg.
And welcome back to Sports Scene at Greg Bick on Twitter. I want to thank our good friends at Outback in Kempsville. Go by and see Mike and the wonderful staff during the holiday season. Spacious, nice dining area, bar, lunch, and dinner. Renovations, of course. Burgers, steaks, soup, salads, all your favorites. Seafood, pasta, chicken. They always have great specials at Outback at 1255 Fordham Drive in Virginia Beach, the number one Outback Steakhouse in the state of Virginia. Give them a call at 523-4832. Book any type of party or special occasion at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Of course, now delivering, like I said, and of course, great food, great times at Outback Steakhouse. Download their app, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Twitter as well. All right, let's now talk to our monthly regular feature here in the last few months. Let's welcome Patrick Rollins from AMF and, of course, in Yorktown. How are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good, Greg. How are you doing today?
Very good. Always a pleasure to talk to you. We talked to you in the month of November as well. And, of course, we're well into December now. You got January coming up. This is a great time for bowling, for leagues, and people to take up the wonderful sport of bowling when the weather's not that great.
You know, I'm glad this weather has finally changed, Greg. People are coming in by the dozens and really having a good time here. Definitely helps our team, too, because, typical to anybody out there, you always want to get a job where you can enjoy yourself, have fun, and meet people. And now that we're starting to pick up our business, our team is getting even more excited. Holidays coming around, they're really looking to help you guys come in and celebrate and have a good time.
Absolutely. Talking to Patrick Rollins right here. And Patrick, one thing, too, we never really talked about this before. Are you constantly hiring people? Because it seems like it does take a lot of staff. There's always a lot of turnover, too.
Yeah, we're always looking for key associates to help us drive our goals. It is the retail industry. It does take that special person who likes to interact with guests and can work well as a team. We always are looking for staff. You can apply with us at www.amf.com. Sometimes we will do monthly open houses where we invite guests in to kind of have a little bit of a party to see how you are and see if you'll fit in our team. It's a very interesting and unique process. But once we get you in here, and we know you'll enjoy it, it is definitely a great place to work.
When somebody comes in there and wants to bowl, what's the typical amount of games people normally bowl? I'm not talking about leagues or the real gun-ho bowlers that might bowl several. What's the average family or people bowl per night and how long do they normally stay there? What's the turnover time?
I would say usually you could expect to come in for about an hour to 2 hours. Depending on the size of the group would determine the amount of games that you would bowl. The best part about our center here at Yorktown and a couple of our centers on the south side is we have other options for entertainment. So you can come in with your family, friends, no matter your age, bowl a game. We also have a brand new arcade. You can play some arcade games and then head on back over and bowl as well. The idea is to come in, relax, enjoy yourself, and have a good time. We don't really want you to feel like you have a time limit that you have to be in and out. We don't want you to feel like you rush. We want you to be able to come in and enjoy yourselves with your friends.
Talk about your hours and your address, and are you ever closed at all?
We are closed, yeah, sure. But we definitely have hours of operations. Typically, if you're not in the league, we always want you to push your time to visit us towards the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. We do have late night specials throughout the week as well, typically from about 8:30 to 12, Monday through Thursday. But, I would definitely suggest coming in on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. It's a good time to bowl. The atmosphere is great. I know during the holiday season when the kids are out of school, we do operate extended hours. Once the kids get out of school for the holiday break, we typically will open at 11 a.m. every day. So this way, when you're looking for things to do with your kids, you can come in and visit us.
Talking to Patrick Rollins from AMF Bowling, and you look at bowling as a sport. I mean, basically, it's still, you need the proper shoes, pretty much loose clothing for the most part, and then a good grip on the ball, a good bowling ball. But it really hasn't changed that much, has it really, over the years, as far as the whole point is still to get a strike? I mean, I know the scoring is more advanced now. You don't have to write it down like you used to. But as far as the sport of bowling, it's still pretty much the same, correct?
You're correct. There's definitely a lot of things that make the process simpler when it comes to coming out and bowling. A lot of your bowling centers will have shoes available. If you don't have that attire, they'll have bowling balls that you can use as well. But no, the sport itself has definitely pretty much your goal is to get a high score, that perfect 300, 12 strikes in a row, which, it's pretty unique when you get to see people do it for the first time. It's pretty astounding when people do it for the 10th time. But all in all, the sport itself is the same, and it's a good thing to do for everybody. All of our lanes are equipped with bumpers where little kids can come out and bowl. We even have ramps for those who are smaller and don't have the power to get the ball down the lane. But it doesn't matter if you bring your grandparents, your parents, your little ones or not. Everybody can enjoy the sport, and it's a fun atmosphere for sure.
I guess one thing, too, it's the whole experience, right, Patrick? It's like you mentioned, the arcade, but the snack bar, the camaraderie. People have birthday parties there. It's really a whole experience. It's a fun night out. I mean, during the winter, other than going to a movie or maybe, let's say, a show or out to dinner, of course, bowling's right up there as far as a consistent form of entertainment that you already have the amenities there. A lot of times when you go out on a Saturday night, that's the most popular night people go out, they're looking to go get, an adult beverage, go get dinner, go to a movie. I mean, you've got entertainment there, you've got food, you do have adult beverages there as well, and there's really something for everyone that, kids, adults, and seniors can all mix together, and that's rare.
Yeah, that's the truth. I don't think I could have said it any better myself. I think we focus a lot more attention on giving you an experience more so than trying to teach you how to bowl or anything like that. I mean, when you come to a bowling center nowadays, it's not always about just being competitive. It's about the camaraderie. It's about being able to be with your friends, your family, and enjoying yourselves and doing things together. And like you said, it's one-stop shop. You don't have to go to a restaurant, put yourself on a wait list. Pray the service is good, pray the food is good. And then leave there, go to the movie, et cetera. You can come here. We can put you out on your lane. You can take your time. We have service staff available. They'll take care of you. Order your food, relax, and enjoy yourselves. You can do it all right here. You don't have to go anywhere else. And when it comes to birthday parties and things like that, yes, definitely a great place to enjoy a birthday party. A reunion, a holiday party for your business. We have a lot of guests a lot of businesses in the area that, this is their third or fourth time having their holiday event with us because they enjoy it so much and they have such a great time. So I would always suggest looking at AMS or even Bolero, depending on where you are, in the listening area. It's a great place to enjoy time and just really be able to, relax. And have fun.
Yeah, because a lot of times you go to an awkward holiday party, it's that awkward chit-chatting, that, and of course you bowl at a place like yours, you're out in the open, out in public, you're not necessarily elbow to elbow with somebody, and of course you're friendly, having friendly conversations and keeping score, so that's kind of fun. You see your name in the lights there too, so it's really, there's something for everyone. I'm sure there's some people that are locals over the years that just go there to watch their family members bowl that don't bowl, and people that just go there to eat and sit down and relax too, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can come in and hang out and relax and enjoy yourself. We have a bar. We have 12 80-inch flat screen TVs, projects a lot of your local sports. Anything that's playing on public television. So you can definitely come in and relax and hang out. You don't have to bowl. We have several guests now that we have our brand new arcade. They'll come in and just play the arcade. So yeah, there's a lot to do.
All right, give us once again the store hours for December and January, and of course the address and everything else that goes with it. And of course, your own social media too.
Yeah, sure. So we are located in Yorktown, Virginia. Address is 4200 George Washington Memorial Highway. You can find the closest AMS to you just by going to ams.com. We also have a lot of social media outlets through Facebook, Twitter, and things like that. So to check out the hours that we have, the best way to do that would be to go to ams.com. I know during the holiday season when the kids are out of school, we will be open extended hours. New Year's Eve coming up, definitely a great place to consider, bringing in the new year. I know a lot of our centers, AMF, we specialize ourselves in what we call the Jingle Bowl. So during the week that the kids are out of school, we have fun activities throughout the week. In fact, at our center on December 22nd, Saturday, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., you can come in and get to see Santa.
Wow.
Cool.
Nice. you never know where Santa's going to pop up, but it'll definitely be an AMF. Patrick, all the best. We'll talk to you sometime in January, and have a great holiday season.
Greg, same thanks to you, and appreciate it. Let me know when you want to come by and get some bowling in.
We will do it soon. All right, my friend. Always a pleasure to see you and catch up.
Likewise, sir. Talk to you soon.
Very good. Patrick right there from AMF Bowling, and Joe Daniel, we've talked about it before. It's a great holiday outing for young and old both. I mean, when it gets dark early and when the weather is bad, I mean, that's a great place to go.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's dark outside, it's cold outside, and because it's not just bowling, you're not just going into a grungy, dirty old bowling alley or anything. Everything is brand new, pristine, clean. The food is actually really good, and they have laser tag, arcade games. It's a really, you can spend, he says, like an hour or two. Really, you could spend probably at least 3 there with everything that they have to offer, with the food. Bring a group, bring a family, a church group. My church group went there quite a few times. We had so much fun. The kids were entertained. The adults were able to have good conversation, as well as eat and play arcade games themselves and laser tag. It's just a really good place, so I highly recommend any AMF.
On the flip side, as you and I always joke around too, there's nothing worse than going to a holiday gathering where you're not comfortable or awkward, where you don't want to be there, and your facial expressions say, I got here 5 minutes ago, I can't wait to leave. When you go to a place like that, you can walk around and browse a little bit too, and you're not elbow to elbow.
Right, it's a fun place, and it's hard to be angry in a fun place.
Right. Stay tuned.
Frosty the Snowman.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicaveras.
Frosty the Snowman.
All right, welcome back to Sports Scene. I want to thank our good friends at Barrel 1706 Mediterranean Avenue in Virginia Beach. Great appetizers, burgers, sandwiches, hot dogs, salads, vegan burgers, house-cut fries, beer battered onion rings. Go by and see Jamie and the wonderful staff. Like Barrel 17 on Facebook. They always have great specials on Facebook, too, right near the ocean front at 1706 Mediterranean Avenue, Virginia Beach. Catch up with some friends this holiday season at Barrel 17. Let's talk to our monthly feature, George McClain from the Marksman and Newport News. George, how are you, buddy?
Doing very well, Greg. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. We're in the holiday season now, and of course, this is the time of the year before we start talking about guns and safety that when people go out and about and shopping, a lot of times they have a lot of bags in their hands, whether they go to the grocery store or to a department store. They're preoccupied trying to find their keys, and sometimes the criminal element could be around, especially now that it gets dark early.
Well, and the criminal element counts on that, and so our defense for that is to be proactive, which would mean you park as close to the door as you can. Make sure you park in a well-lighted area. And then what if the situation, as you're getting your packages together and making your way to your vehicle, what if somebody is hiding between my car and the one beside of it, kind of a deal. Have a plan so you're not totally surprised about what you're going to do, and that plan could be having a noisemaker, one of these squealer things that folks have on boats if you have a free hand of doing that. But it's just being proactive and planning ahead. Expect the unexpected and plan for it, and hopefully you won't be as surprised if it happens.
Not to mention, too, George, not only that, even during the daytime when we're out and about and we're parking in a big box store, we forget where we're parking at, and that is another thing that we're all vulnerable at times.
It is, and these are when you got the snatch and grab kind of surprises. You're going to have people that do hide, in broad daylight between vehicles, and what you're looking for, ladies with scraps for their pocketbooks across their shoulder, and they will grab them. They're going to probably jerk you off your feet in the process. And a lot of these, physical injury is a real possibility. So again, you have to have your head on the swivel. And I don't know of any viable way of stopping all of these type of antics from happening. So you're just going to have to prepare for the possible eventuality. But here's the deal. Whatever you're carrying in your arms is not worth your life.
Right.
So at some point, you need to make the choice that your life or the life of your child or grandchild or your spouse, whoever you happen to be with, is well more important than the packages that you're carrying.
Sure. And we can all do preventative maintenance too, folks. I mean, we're all adults here that are driving, and for the most part, now there are some teenagers, but still, do not put your high-end possessions in a visible place where people can see through your windows. I mean, a lot of times people will put, their phones or their pocketbooks or a big toy or something right in the front or the back seat, and the criminal can say, "Oh, look what's in the front and back seat." That's an easy target, easy prey before you even walk in the door.
It's a huge temptation. But yeah, you're exactly right. Common sense goes a long way, and you're preventing a lot of this stuff. So if you're gonna have that type of high dollar electronics, in your vehicle or anything else, it's a value. Get it covered up, put it in the trunk of the car if you have one. Something that takes it out of a bad person's direct line of sight. They'll get rid of that temptation.
Talking to George McClain, owner of the Marksman in Newport News. Google the Marksman. You will see all about it on the website, open daily for you. Of course, George, the police are always saying, see something, say something. And that's really true. Those are basic words that can happen when you walk out your front door or you're driving. You have to, if you see something, you got to say something, or of criminal intent, you got to speak up. That can save a life.
Well, that's right. We all need to be cognizant of our surroundings. And you mentioned walking out your front door. If you walk out your front door and you see a vehicle that's in the neighborhood that you've never seen before, and maybe you saw it yesterday and they're not doing anything, and now you're seeing it again today. It may be something that you want to make a non-emergency call to your local police precinct and say, hey, we got some activity here that it's not normal, this time of year being what it is, can you check it out? And they typically do, and you may just save yourself the heartache of a home break-in if someone's there casing houses and to see the comings and goings of the residents.
Right. Talking to George McClain, that does happen a lot too, as well, that a lot of times where people will park their car by the side of the road, it's legal, but it can also make you very leery, just like George said. All right, what's new at the Marksman in the month of December and January coming up?
Gift cards, basically. This time of year, everyone is inquiring about those, so we have those available, and you can come in at any time and put whatever amount that you want on the gift card and put that in your card and put that under the tree, and they'll be good to go for their needs for the coming future. Very good, very good. And of course, the staff is always willing to help people. Do you have special holiday hours because you're always open 7 days a week? The holiday hours are typically what we just had over Thanksgiving as well, is that we will typically close the store at 4 p.m. The day before the holiday. So on Christmas Eve, we'll be closing that day at 4 p.m. and then closed on Christmas Day, and then on the day after, opening up at normal times, and we'll have that same schedule over New Year's. So we'll close at 4 p.m. New Year's Eve, closed on New Year's Day, and then day after regular schedule. What do you recommend for a person who wants to take a class for the first time, a lecture, and also buy a gun? Because I know there's a lot of protocol before you step foot in there as far as background checks and everything. But what I'm always impressed is how the technology of guns are. I mean, when people want to build their own guns, or do you guys build the guns, or the ready-made guns? Explain that to the public out there as far as, getting a pistol or a rifle or, any type of gun like that. Well, the firearms are put together by the manufacturer. We do not assemble that. You have to have a federal firearms license to sell or manufacture, and I have the license to sell. So I'm not a manufacturer of firearms. So in anyone who wants to go out and build their own firearm, the only thing I'm going to say at this point is that you need to do your legal homework before you even start a venture like that. And if you don't know what you're doing, common sense says leave it to the professionals to do. and that would be the Glocks or the Sig Sauers or the Springfields or the Remingtons. People's in the business of doing that. If you have a question or want to get started with a process of getting trained and then purchasing a firearm, the best advice is just come in and sit down and talk to us. We're not a high pressure car sales environment. We're not going to try to push a firearm on you just because that's what's on the shelf. That's I don't believe in that. That's not how we operate. So it's getting the basic training. Number one, get you comfortable with the firearm. And we have about 30 different firearms that you can rent. That firearm is included in your training that we provide. And the best advice I can give you is try out several. Find one that you like, instead of just buying what's available.
Right. We mentioned earlier where cameras, kind of detour graffiti, but it's important that stores like yours have, video surveillance because of criminal intent out there, especially this time of the year, or any time of the year. But one thing I want to tell you, folks, the phone number is 872-4130. The Marksman's very active on Facebook. You can talk about range, sales, training, concealed handguns, firearms, training simulators, membership rates. There's really something for everyone, and the staff is there to help you and learn about guns and gun safety. Is there somebody in the range with people as well during shooting as well?
Well, we have people. The range is under video monitoring, so we don't have someone standing on the range, and we typically don't. But it's being monitored anytime somebody is on the range. So if someone needs help or something, we're just 2 or 3 steps away from that. But there's someone that's available to go on and help. If you have a problem with the firearm, if it gets jammed, if you got some type of malfunction, we can always help out with that. Matter of fact, that's what we ask our customers to do if they have a problem, is just to leave the firearm on the range and just stick your head back out into the lobby and let us know that you need some help, and we'll get somebody in there.
George, I need to ask you a question too, because several years ago there's been accidents in gun ranges, not on the peninsula, but there was one in another part of Virginia, that the mental health of some of these people that come in there and take classes, is that a judgment thing that your staff has to do? Is there training for that? Because let's face it, you never know what the mental health is of a man, woman, or any adult is when they're doing something like that. Is something that you're trained on? How do you keep an eye on that?
Well, again, that's a common sense thing. It's you just have to kind of take a look at the individual. If there's something that doesn't seem right during the engagement process when they first walk into the door and we greet someone, ask if we can help them. Everyone's been there long enough. They know what the standard response is. Yes, like to use the range, and they say, well, great, come over here, and do you have any firearm experience? And so we're going to start with those types of questions. And the answers we get, or just looking at body language or how someone is acting, if they're looking at you, or if they're looking at the wall, they're not looking at you in the eye when they're speaking to you. So it's not just a one thing. It would be probably the same criteria that you would use if you're meeting somebody out on the street. Maybe if someone's engaging you for the first time, and
sure,
it's you just have that gut feeling something's not right here. So we always have that right to not let someone on the range, or not rent someone a firearm to use on the range. If we just have that feeling, and a lot of times we'll get if I'm not there being the one doing that, and typically I'm not necessarily the one working the counter, but if that counter person has a problem or has a funny feeling about someone, then we get upper management involved, and so we get at least another set of eyes looking at it and saying we need to make a call here. And we don't have to do that often, but at times we have. Someone has come in. It's obviously under the influence of something, drugs or alcohol, and we'll just simply tell them, can't do it, can't help them out.
Very nice. George, all the best to you and your wonderful staff during the holiday season. Folks, Google the Marksman, learn something every day at the Marksman. Great staff, great products right there, great training, and great classes. George, all the best.
All right, Greg, you too. You take care.
Thank you. All right, George right there from the Marksman. Want to thank our good friends at No Forks Cheesesteaks and more. Go by and see Patty and the wonderful staff this holiday season. Open Monday through Friday from 11 to 4. They're located at 5045 Virginia Beach Boulevard in the Theos Plaza Shopping Center. Great burgers, great combos, cheesesteak, fry baskets, hand-pressed burgers as well, cheddar bacon burgers, great fries and sides, sodas, and, of course, beverages, too. Wonderful, most pleasing atmosphere is No Forks Cheesesteaks and more. Like them on Facebook, something for everyone. Go by there, get a great meal at No Forks Cheesesteaks and more. Patty and the staff will take care of you the minute you walk in.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bick-Averis in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com.
Sports Scene is online on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Saturday from 10 to 11 on the Lighthouse, 100.1 FM, 1010 AM. TuneIn.com, type in WPMH in the search bar. Hampton Roads Online Mall, browse, shop, visit, bookmark it. That's Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com, GJBTV.com, and HRSMHOF.com. Our question presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville to our esteemed producer, Joe Daniel. Joe Daniel, first of all, welcome back. Good to see you. We missed you and look forward to more shows in the first of the year.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Joe Daniel, this is the holiday season. We see it all the time. You see it at the grocery stores, at the department stores, people jingling the bell. You get a letter in the mail. You get a phone call. Are you leery of charities asking for too much during the holidays?
Not really leery, and I'm not sure if they're asking too much. I understand why they do it, because they're definitely taking advantage of the charitable spirit that comes with the Christmas season. So I don't blame them for doing it. I'm not too leery of it, and I often do fall victim to it, if you will, to put it that way. Whenever I go by the Salvation Army and they're ringing the bell, if I do have change, I absolutely do. If I have $1 in my pocket, I absolutely do donate. Or if somebody does call me and they're just asking for a small donation of $5 or something like that, not a big deal. And I absolutely will, in the spirit of Christmas, I will donate to charities. And I think that is why the charities do take advantage of that season.
All right, that's highlights.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bick-Averis. Now, back to Greg.
You ever saw it?
Welcome back to Sports Scene at Greg Bick on Twitter. I want to welcome our next guest from Virginia Stage Company. We talk to him yearly. Let's welcome Brad Tuggle. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great time of the year. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Of course, Virginia Stage Company front and center with the Christmas Carol. This has been a tradition that's been going on for several years.
Yeah, the holiday season is always great for us at Virginia Stage Company and for theater as a whole. We really see that more than half of the people who come to the Wells Theater to see one of our productions come for A Christmas Carol the first time. So it's a great way for people in the community to wet their lips with theater and start to see that it's really kind of an amazing thing to see actors still perform live on stage in this digital world.
And not to mention the atmosphere in there is so nice, especially during the holiday season with the nice environment around Granby Street as well as the theater.
Yeah, there's tons of places to eat beforehand, and if the show is only about an hour and a half long, so you can stick around and go drink or go and do different things with your family around downtown if you've come to a matinee. Downtown Norfolk really is a magical time of year this year. And we also, I want to mention that we do have a second Christmas show that we're doing this year as well. We're doing the Santaland Diaries, which is based on David Sedaris' memoir of when he was an elf at Macy's up in New York City.
Very nice. So really, there's something for everyone. Talk about the show times as far as how people can get tickets, and, of course, talk about the actual times for both these events.
Yeah, both shows are running right now. And so Santaland Diaries will run through December the 16th, and Christmas Carol runs through December the 23rd. We run Tuesday nights through Sundays. With on Saturday and Sunday we have matinees. So on certain nights it'll be Christmas Carol. Most nights it's Christmas Carol, but then sometimes we take a little break from that show and we do Santaland Diaries. You can check out all the dates and times at vastage.org. The evening shows start at 7:30, but since Santaland Diaries is targeted towards adults and is for, quote, mature elves only, we do have some 10 p.m. performances of that show.
Okay, that's kind of late night there at the Wells Theater, too. So really
Come
something
see
for
Christmas
everyone.
Carol and stick around for Santaland Diaries.
There you go. A lot of fun right there as well. Looking ahead to the first quarter, what's sticking out?
So the first show we're doing next year is the Tony Award-winning musical Fun Home. Mm-hmm. So it won the Tonys just within the last 5 years. It's really kind of a new musical that follows the story of Alison Bechtel. She is a graphic artist who created a memoir in graphic novel form, and so this is a musical retelling of her life. Starts when she's 10 years old and goes all the way through adulthood, and it really is a beautiful musical that has a really deep, rich plot to it as well. So if you're somebody who really loves plays and maybe not musicals, this is going to really fulfill everybody.
Very nice. Of course, you're very active on Facebook, of course, and you also have a Twitter handle. Of course, everything is on the website for all the shows and the staff and all the amenities that go with it, correct?
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all VA Stage. So VA is in Virginia. And then the website is vastage.org.
Now, people can order tickets. How can they, we mentioned earlier, but can people just walk up the day of the show? Do you recommend that? Or should they get them in advance?
Yeah, you can walk up the day of the show. For Christmas Carol, I might not recommend that because Christmas Carol does tend to get pretty full. But if you're downtown and you decide at the last minute you want to go and see the show, we're always happy to have people. We're at 108 East Tazewell Street. It's right in the dead center of downtown Norfolk. You can walk up and get tickets, go online, or you can call us at 627-1234.
Excellent place for the family, friends. Great place, great cultural arts in Hampton Roads. This is the Wells Theater Virginia Stage Company. Brad, always a pleasure to hear your voice, and we look forward to talking to you again here very soon.
Great talking to you.
Very good. Brad Tuggle right there. And Joe Daniel, that's something that everyone should participate during the holiday season, is some type of cultural arts thing with a friend or family.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something that I've already looked into myself, because I think it is very important to support that kind, to culture yourself and to see other talent out there as opposed to just what's on the radio or what's on the TV, to see what's people who are singing their hearts out and people who are acting on stage. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's really important to support that.
Especially the Christmas Carol, where it's an old geezer, the Scrooge, but he turns out to be good at the end, toward the end of his life, but at least he goes from darkness to light. That's kind of a story of all of us, that sometimes we have the dark side that we turn into light as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful redemption story. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Sports Scene will continue after this.
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, now time for What Teased Me Off. And I think our good friends at Panera. Go by and see Gary and the great staff over at 1412 Greenbrier Parkway in Chesapeake. Give them a call at 424-2600 for more. Go to PaneraBread.com, of course. All items 100% clean. Soups, sandwiches, salads, bagels, bread, smoothies, holiday treats, breakfast sandwiches, great beverages. Go by and see Gary and the wonderful staff. Food as it should be. For more, go to PaneraBread.com, your holiday headquarters in Greenbrier at 1412 Greenbrier Parkway. Let's get to What Teased Me Off. Joe Daniel, graffiti. That's never fun to watch, no matter what city you're in.
I've never seen graffiti being made or watching it being done, but I absolutely don't like it. I don't think it looks good. I understand how some people do like the art style. I'm not one of them. I think it just looks... it makes everything look run down and looks like a bad part of the neighborhood, so I'm not a big fan of it.
The good thing now is with cameras everywhere, that's being cut down a little bit, but it seems like, these are idle people in the middle of the night coming out kind of like werewolves and just riding all over buildings.
Yeah, and they're very fast, and that's why they haven't been caught. A lot of them haven't been caught. It looks nice, but they get in there under cover of darkness and spray paint, and they're only there for just a few minutes and then they take off. So it's pretty difficult, from what I understand of it, it's pretty difficult to catch people.
Let's hope more cameras out there to catch them. One thing we all see, we've seen this over the years, is writing on bathroom walls or in the public bathrooms. That's just horrible.
It is horrible, and I think we've
phone
talked
numbers
about,
too.
Yeah, I talked about something similar like this a while ago, but yeah, I just don't understand the mentality of the person who takes out their pocket knife or a pen and etches into a dirty stall. I just don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will.
people who are one way when they're drinking alcohol and totally opposite when they're sober.
Yeah, I mean, those are the effects of any kind of drugs or substance use. I definitely have heard of that kind of stuff, especially with the different kinds of alcohol that there are. Some people that I've talked to before is certain alcohols make them act certain ways or do certain things. That's why they only stick to beer or something like that, because they don't want to get too outrageous. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. And I know with any kind of substance, I mean, you really can't control who you are because everything in your brain changes.
It does alter your mood and what you're going to say out of your mouth, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, this is the time of the year that we run into people we normally don't see. We could see them, at a grocery store, at a department store, trying to remember first names. That's never easy. Oh, hey, how's it going? You start talking about everything else, but see you later, Joe Daniel.
Right, yeah. Remembering people's names, I've always tried to get better at this, and I've tried and practiced for a few years, and I know that I have gotten better at it. But I think that really is important to remember that person's name, and whatever trick or tactic that you need to do in your mind to remember that person's name, I know will make you stand out in their mind and have them leave that interaction that you had on a good note with you.
Yeah, that's a great impression. We can say, very nice to meet you, John. Good to see you again, John. I mean, some people overdo it, but, being called by your first name does mean something. I remember my ex-wife thought it was a really big deal that I would call her by her first name, not a pet name or something else like that. This time of the year, a lot of holiday parties, when you have to use alternative means to open a bottle for access. Could be a wine bottle, could be, a hydrogen peroxide bottle. You got to twist and turn, and get a knife to open up the seal. I mean, there are some bottles we've talked about that are very difficult for access, but this time of the year during the holidays, it can cause accidents too.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen multiple times on YouTube videos or something where people are trying to open up a champagne bottle and then it just pops them right in the face or something. So absolutely be careful. If you are opening up a champagne bottle, point it to the ceiling, not to your face.
Yeah, there's nothing like dropping a glass bottle on the floor, whether it's wine. Not only do you destroy your floor, the smell and everything, the glass that goes with it. I dropped a thing in the garage the other day, and it splattered all over the place as far as glass and a light bulb. It's just never a nice thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and dangerous with all that glass. And one of the worst things that I've done is walk out of the grocery store with a bag that had glass in it and accidentally drop the bag. I'm literally in the grocery store parking lot, and I can't even use the food. And I heard some places will make you exchange it if that happens, but I didn't even test it. I was so just angry, so I took off.
Yes, it does happen, and I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, especially at places like Walmart. All right, this time of the year, we're stressed, too many obligations.
Yeah, never overcommit. Never overcommit yourself to, and never double book. I know it's kind of hard because one plan may slip your mind, so double booking may occur, but never overcommit yourself. If you're able to take on more last minute, then that's good, as opposed to not able to make it somewhere last minute, undergoing that situation, doing that conversation.
Another good point you brought up several months ago, that's what I love about What Tease, is exchanging pleasantries. When you go to a public place, you're running an errand, you like to go in and go out. When you start saying hello, then it becomes more awkward as a conversation. Then you have to say goodbye, talk to you later, see you soon. Oh, did I say the right thing about your hair, your shirt, and your pants? And sometimes that little hello pleasantry can turn into like, wow, not only did I not want to see him, whatever I said, I couldn't win no matter what, or she.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to keep it as casual and comfortable as possible, especially with the pleasantries. We talked about it before with the good mornings and good afternoons. I don't like those kind of, you're kind of asking but not really caring that you ask those questions of how you doing or something. But I always just try to keep things as casual and just get right to the point as quickly as possible.
Yeah, unless they're good friends or family. Like, it goes back to several times on What Tease when somebody saw me at the store and says, "What do you have in your hands?" I'm like, really?
Wow, I've never had that happen.
What did you buy at Walmart today? Okay, that's what teased me off. I want to thank our great guests today, Bob Molinaro, Patrick Rollins, George McClain, and Brad Tuggle. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link at Greg Bick on Twitter. For Joe Daniel, I'm Greg Bick-Averis. We'll talk to you soon.